Ruwodo, the Minister of Veterans of the Liberation Struggle Affairs, as represented by Deputy Minister Honorable Headman Munhama, the Commander, Zimbabwe National Army, Lieutenant General Takumanei, Commander, Air Force of Zimbabwe, as represented by Air Vice Marshal Chimurenga, all the chiefs of staff who are present here, general and air officers who are present here, all the senior officers present. I have noticed quite a few of our retired officers. I recognize them as well. Senior government officials here, officers, men and women of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, the ladies and gentlemen from the media, and all the ladies and gentlemen who are present here today. We gather once again here to pay our last military respects to the late Major General retired Retd Ruwodo, also known by his Chimurenga name as Moshe Pwititi, who passed away on the 7th of July 2026 at Avenues Clinic. And this is barely a week since we gathered here again to bid farewell to the late retired Major General Retd Dzihwema. The late Major General Retd Ruwodo passed on in the morning of 7th of July 2026 at Avenues Clinic. He was born on 14 March 1954 in Mutare District, Chief Mutasa, under Headman Munhama, Samushonga Village in Manicaland Province. He was born to George Ruwodo and Susan Ruwodo in a family of 2 boys. The late general officer received his primary education at Mutasa Primary School in Mutare District and went on to Highfield Secondary School in Harare, where he completed his Form 4 in 1972. Upon completion of his secondary education, he was employed at Matatu Company as a salesman. That was in 1973. And was later promoted to relief manager, serving in that capacity until 1975. He answered the call to duty at a young age, leaving the comforts of home to join the liberation struggle in 1975 as a dedicated Zanda cadre. He was among the 3rd group of cadres to receive their military training in Mozambique, and this group was trained at Chimoyo and included the likes of Colonel retired Shoma Temachani, the late Thomas Buma, and others. On completion of training, Comrade Moshe was deployed to the party headquarters in Maputo as Director of Finance, where he worked under the late national hero Ernest Kadungure. And during the struggle, he worked alongside notable figures such as Charles Ndlovu, that is Webster Shamu, as we know him today, who was the Director of Information and Publicity. After independence in 1980, the late general officer dedicated his life to building and professionalizing the Zimbabwe National Army. He was appointed Deputy Chief Paymaster, understudying the then acting Chief Paymaster Colonel Bratton. And this was to lay a foundation for his later leadership of the Zimbabwe Army Pay Corps. He was later appointed the first black director of the Zimbabwe Army Pay and Records, and he directed and provided oversight of the evolution of the pay systems in the Zimbabwe National Army. He also guided long-term reforms and operational effectiveness through training and integrating new members into a predominantly white corps. He fostered professional development and cohesion across the ranks and backgrounds. He managed a labor-intensive manual pay system that he supervised until its transition to a computer-based system. He advanced in-house training for the Corps and expanded training for unit administrators, elevating administration competencies throughout the Zimbabwe National Army. The late General Officer also improved accountability, transparency, integrity, credibility, probity, and overall human capital development. The Zimbabwe National Army Pay and Records Corps is what it is today because of the foundations that he laid during the early days of the Zimbabwe National Army. During his entire career in the Zimbabwe National Army, the late General Officer rose through the ranks with the following promotion history. He was an equivalent major in 1981, promoted Lieutenant Colonel 1982, Colonel 1984, Brigadier General 1988, and Major General 2008. And he basically was within the pay and finance departments in the Zimbabwe National Army, starting off as a Deputy Chief Paymaster, then Chief Paymaster at Army Headquarters, and then the Director of the Army Pay Office, Director of Finance at Army Headquarters, and Brigadier General responsible for finance at Zimbabwe Defense Forces Headquarters. He undertook successfully all the military courses that were required for an officer of his responsibilities and his rank within the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. And he also did a management development program in Australia. He attained a banking management and accounts qualification in addition to all the courses that he had undertaken. He was awarded the following medals for his continued dedication and selfless and exemplary service to the nation. The Liberation Medal for his active contribution towards the liberation of Zimbabwe. The Liberation Decoration Silver for his leadership during the Liberation War. The Independence Medal for his contribution towards the independence of Zimbabwe. The 10-year service medal for his immense contribution to the integration, formation, and development of the Zimbabwe National Army during its first 10 years of existence. The long and exemplary service medal for his exemplary service for a continuous 15 years. The Mozambique Campaign Medal for his contribution towards the restoration of peace and stability in Mozambique, and the Grand Officer of the Zimbabwe Order of Merit for his eminent achievement and distinguished service to Zimbabwe and to humanity at large. Ladies and gentlemen, having served diligently and purposefully in the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, the late Major General was appointed Principal Director for War Veterans in the Ministry of Defense and War Veterans Affairs, as it was then. He brought discipline and command experience of his military career into the civil service. He consistently advocated for improved conditions of service, for conditions for war veterans. He was a gatekeeper of legitimacy within the war veterans community. And beyond this, he was also a family man, a respected elder in his community, a quiet philanthropist who supported the uplifting of fellow war veterans as well as the dependents of fallen heroes. The late General was a loyal and patriotic commander of note who jealously promoted, propelled, and protected Zimbabwe's core interests all the way until his untimely demise. We stand united in remembrance of a man who gave his life in service of his nation, a general officer whose courage, humility, and devotion to duty will forever echo in our hearts. He was not one who sought glory, nor did he wear his honors as a crown. Instead, he carried them with quiet dignity, knowing that true valor lies not in recognition, but in sacrifice. To the late Major General Richard Ruwodo, on behalf of all the general officers, senior officers, men and women of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, we say the institutions, the doctrines, and the officers you developed remain assets to Zimbabwe. Your death has created a gap in institutional memory and moral leadership within the security and the civil sector. The late general is survived by his wife, Louis Ruwodo, and 3 children, Tatenda Ashley, Tabiso Lisa, and Snodiwa, and 4 grandchildren. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Zorora murugare, kambara magamba. Lala mubutula, kawe lama kawe. Rest in peace, son of the soil. I thank you.